Happy Sunday, Jada. What's happening with you? Let's talk a little bit about short-form video content.
Happy Sunday to you too. I'm doing good. How are you doing?
I'm excited to chat with you. Tell me about what's the power of like short-form video content? Like why do you believe that it's powerful for 2024?
It definitely grabs your audience much quicker, or like it gets them into your whole ecosystem, like your content ecosystem, when they see that 30-second video or minute long video. And especially if it's like a value packed one, it just makes them care and say, "Oh, what's this? I want to like check this out." And if it's an entertaining situation, then same effect. They're like, "Oh, I want to keep watching more." So it's just like a really quick and easy way to add value to your audience.
I think too, I feel like in video, you could see a lot in someone's eyes. There's a lot of communication that's not present when in writing alone. So I think showing up on video shows a lot more of the creator's like soul, for example. It allows you to get more deep with like the actual person that you're talking to and like resonate with them like on a deeper level. What do you think about that?
I agree because me and you, we talked about something similar the other day when it's like, if I had a guitar in the background and you were like a guitar fan, and I'm talking about a video where I'm giving you value, you might pick up on that guitar in the background. You're like, oh, she's giving value, plus she likes to play an instrument that I also like to play. So there's that relatability factor that you just don't get with text only posts, maybe with a photo. Because then, if you're in like another country or something, or you're doing some kind of activity, somebody, once they see and they can relate to you, it has a similar effect. But video just gives you more range. Like you can just do a whole lot more and touch on those emotional chords more.
Do you think a lot of the copywriting skills for like hook writing and like storytelling and those things are really prevalent too, like in when you're actually creating your shorts, like your 60-second videos?
For sure, because videos, a lot of them, they start off with that. Even if it's a bullet point, you need some kind of scripting or some kind of structure in place. If you know or have good copywriting skills, it just makes the process so much easier. You know exactly, okay, you need to say this here, say that there. So it is helpful for sure.
Public speaking is not easy. A lot of people have imposter syndrome. A lot of people are like just worried about looking stupid or foolish or whatever reason. Do you have any tips on that, like how to overcome that?
I guess I got lucky in the sense that in a past life, I was doing a lot of vox pops. So that's you go on the road with a mic and you talk to people, and these are complete strangers, and you ask them to answer a question, and they might embarrass you or they might answer your question. So I kind of got conditioned to just put myself out there and see, because I needed to like get people to answer the question so I could edit the videos. So I noticed that like I own practice in my own life that I do that could be helpful to somebody else is in your day-to-day life, like you're going to a coffee shop or you are at the supermarket and you see somebody and you feel inclined to speak to them or just say something or give a compliment, that can be practice for you to feel better about expressing yourself. So when you can talk to a stranger, it's just so much easier for you to get onto a video camera and start speaking because you got that practice in the real world, just like talking and being perceived and expressing yourself. Because I think a lot of it comes down to that. Like we have this fear of being perceived, this fear of somebody's gonna notice a flaw or a twitch in my eye or something like that. But when you when you talk to people in real life, it helps, and it doesn't have to be like a big conversation. Even if you like take Ubers, like say hi to your Uber driver. How are you doing? How's your day going? Just something to like get you in that conversational mood. So when it comes down to you sitting and doing your own videos, you just have enough reps in, it might become a little easier. So that's a tip I would share.
And I also think it's better to like look outside of yourself. Don't always look to yourself internally. There's a cognitive bias called the spotlight effect, where it's like almost like this thing where we feel like people are watching us and judging us at all times. And in reality, people probably are judging you and they are doing things at certain times. But in reality, they're probably more concerned with what they're doing with themselves. So we have a very egocentric view of the world. So I think a lot of the times we think people are thinking about us, but in reality, they're probably thinking more about kind of what's going on in their lives. So I think that there's a little bit of that going on too. How do you look at as well, like keeping like attention? Because I know that like good editing helps a lot. Because I know that I've done some shorts like recently that popped off because they had like really good edits that like moved every second or two. What's your thoughts on like good editing?
Start with the value first. So whatever it is that you want to get across or what that main point is, if you can somehow translate that to the first 5 to 10 seconds of the video, that's a good way. So a trick that you could use is whatever you want the lesson to be, instead of waiting until you get to the middle, start it off with that, then start the video. So let's say I want to say, here are 10 ways to warm macaroni and cheese or something like that. Like I start off with the answer and then I'll cut to the beginning of the video where it's like, hey guys, today I'm gonna show you. So you give the answer already, then you start off with like the beginning of the video. So you can play around with stuff like that. So good editing can do that for you. Like give the answer, then go into the context, and then they'll get the answer again. That's a style I noticed that a lot of people use.
The scene of Batman, the Joker, right? Like right when like the Joker comes in and like he's robbing a bank. It's like right in the middle of all of the action, right? That's kind of like where you want to bring people in, like on a hook. You want to like create all this like curiosity, like hitting that curiosity button like a million times, and then you go, okay, we're just gonna leave that alone for a minute and go talk about something else. Because what that's doing is it's opening a loop in someone's brain that like you're like, oh, like what's going on here? And then like you close the loop later in on the action, but like you kind of like it's always about like pressing that curiosity button as many times as possible by giving just enough information, I think, to get people like super curious, but like not enough to like just give them everything.
I like that part to get the curiosity, and you have the other side where it's like give the actual answer and then go into the backstory. So those are like two ways you can mess around with like short forms.
I know you work on like video series too. Like, what is a video series, and like, why would one want to do a video series if they are looking into getting into video?
Video series are just a little easier to get into because if you just only focus on, okay, I will want to make an original video every single time, it might feel a little overwhelming because you have to come up with new ideas for every single new video or well, not episode, but every single new video you drop. But with a series, you can have a topic that you can talk about for 10 minutes or an activity that you can do for like 10, 15, 20 minutes max. And then you can get micro clips or short form content or mid form content from that long series. So instead of trying to come up with original ideas every time for every single video, if you just talk about a topic or a theme for a period of time, you can get content for that. So I think it's a little easier for people to get started with that instead of thinking that, okay, I need to reinvent the wheel every time or I need to sit down and get 10 videos or 5 videos or new ideas for this week. Just have a theme. If you are really good at accounting, you could talk about 5 ways to make sure that you hit your goals, like your accounting goals, whatever that would look like, whatever a topic for accountants would be, and you just talk about that for a duration of time, and then that could be you can extract each single 5 points. So you could have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's 5 different videos to post. You could like post them as tips throughout the week. So that's the power of just doing a series instead of just trying to come up with video content ideas every single time.
Yeah, it's nice because you don't have to reinvent the wheel every time. It's sort of like a theme for what it is that you're doing. How long do you think that people should? Let's just say you're a beginner, like your first video might take you like an hour or two to crank out. That's like only a minute long just because of all the mistakes and all the back and forth and equipment setup. A big steep, there's always going to be like a big curve to learn something new at first, but then that time will shrink over time. So like, how do you look at that? Like how long do you suggest someone? I always like, as a creative, I always like to give myself time constraints. So I would be like, I'm going to only give myself an hour to do this as the first time. Because at the end of the day, like, there's also this thing in economics called the law of diminishing marginal returns, where it's like after you put in a certain amount of effort, after a certain amount of time, it's not going to get much better. So I think that like there's like a balance of things. So how do you suggest that? Do you use time constraints as well? Like give yourself like times to like get things done. Like I only give myself 30 minutes to edit this video type of thing. Or do you do things like this?
I do. And so recording, if you want to have a 10-minute recording, just slot around like 20 minutes for yourself to talk because mistakes can happen. You might pause for a while, but just have that limit on yourself. And then for editing, it depends on what level you're at and it depends on type of edit that you want to do. So if you want to go creative, get assets from like Envato Elements, do the whole works, then maybe like 2 hours 2 to 3 hours max to really go all out on a few videos or one particular video. So I do believe in like having time constraints and using some kind of project management tool to help break down everything that you need to do. I use Monday.com. So let's say I have an episode that I recorded. So I recorded this video, and from this one video, I want to get, let's say, 6 pieces of content. Then I already have the 6 pieces of content. I know each should take me 1 to maybe 3 hours max to edit. Maybe not that much, it depends. Because once you have that one edit, you can like usually get inspiration to like do the rest much quicker. So having time constraints and setting deadlines for yourself, it helps. And if you make the deadline too long, like you're like, especially I notice with creatives, like we want to take time and like really just go all in and refine stuff. But if you give yourself too long of a deadline, then you're gonna find that you're gonna do it closer to the deadline that you set. So if you say to yourself, "Oh, it's gonna take 2 days," it's gonna take 2 days. But if you tell yourself it's gonna take 3 hours, like you can actually do this in 3 hours, you're more likely to finish it in 3 hours, and that's like a better practice to have instead of thinking that you need to take days to work on something. Because I've fallen victim to that a lot of times, and I'm trying to. I dabble in between the bad habits sometimes, but I'm leaning more towards just eliminating it completely and limiting myself to just doing stuff in hours.
What about like stuff when you're just not feeling super motivated and like you're having a hard time getting started? Do you have any tricks for like just getting in the zone, just getting started?
So I'm a big music lover. So this is very cliche to say, but I would listen to a song to get me in the zone, changing my environment. These are all I have the cliche advice or answers for this one because it's true. It's like sometimes you just need to shift around your space and shift things around, even like cleaning my space or my desk table. I'll just clean it up and then get into what I need to do instead of just trying to force it. If you can make what you're doing fun, it just or inspiring or so I live in Jamaica, so like I can like go up to a nice little mountain view, yeah, or something. Just like if you can like where whatever environment or whatever place you're in, if you could just shift it around and then go into doing what you're doing, that usually helps to like get out of that funk.
I share this quite often on my content on LinkedIn, but I switched to green tea because it has a compound called L-theanine, which is like a mood enhancer, and that's also good for video because like too many people drink coffee and Red Bull and then get on video and then they're all amped up and just have like really bad energy because they're just it's not a smooth energy. Coffee just makes you feel just anxious. So I always recommend like going on a walk, doing some exercise, and then actually recording. Thoughts on that?
I agree 100%. And try, I think the walk makes it more fun too. So you might walk, you might meet somebody or stumble on somebody that you already know. And then before you know it, when you come back into your space to do some work, everything just like flows through you. So slowing down in order to quote unquote like speed up does work. It works for me. And that kind of got me out of a funk that I was in recently. So I can like head down to my apartment complex, just take a few laps whenever I'm not feeling so like inspired to do stuff. Yeah, so that does help. I'm also getting into green tea. I have some. Um, and I do drink coffee sometimes, but I drink black coffee instead of like mixing it up with like all the sweeteners. So just trying to not get jittery and find those things that can like boost you naturally. They do help because coffee can make a lot of people jittery.
I've been trying to do like 1 or 2 videos a week in my content. Like let's just say 7 days of content. I might have like one carousel, two shorts, maybe two like 60-second videos, one full YouTube video that's like 30 minutes long that goes on Spotify. And then I also have like, like text based posts with like some pictures and things like that. But how do you view like video content? Like how often in the mix like what would you suggest like a good mix of like if you're posting 5 days like post day one is a like a short video, day two is carousel, et cetera, et cetera.
The general rule of thumb is if you can mix video content with some text, because LinkedIn is still kind of preferring text posts, text and photos, I realize, and carousels for a good amount of stuff too. But if you can mix those into your strategy and add videos or supplement videos because they're slowly rising up to prefer videos a little bit more because they have that in-app video feed situation that's going on, or it's being rolled out to a lot of people. So I word for word, bar for bar, from like Monday to Friday. It's a little tricky for me to say, okay, do this, this, and that. But what I can say is you need videos. I would advise at least like three pieces of video content, and then if you're doing that's if you're doing 5 days, so three pieces of video content and then two, so one for the text and photo, because it would be nice if you post a photo so people could see you or where you're at, and then the carousel if you like want to give value in that way. So that is helpful. I do know a lot of people that do 7 days, and if you're doing 7 days, then maybe four videos, and then three, two with a picture of yourself or your environment and a carousel. So that would like equate to seven. Or if you want to just go all in and just like videos all throughout all those 7 days, that is also like an option. It depends on the goals that you want to achieve. Videos just build the trust and familiarity are much quicker because people get to see you and see how you talk and see what you have to offer, and they can like pick up on if they want to work with you or yeah do anything, collaborate with you and all of that. So it does have that effect. I think the reach right now is it's not low, but LinkedIn is slowly realizing and shifting towards favoring videos. So at this point in time in 2024, it's a good time to get into it. So yeah, that's tentatively what I would think. It's like if you're not doing lots of videos, like maybe you're doing like one or two every week, amp it up a little bit so it's a little over half of your strategy. So that way you are positioning yourself in a good spot for when LinkedIn really does make that shift fully over into the video content world.
If you're new to video, what I suggest doing, this is my suggestion, I'd like to hear yours too. I say just get a copy of like Zoom or Riverside FM. I think Riverside FM is obviously better for podcasting. Zoom will work, it'll do the job fine. But in general, just like write out a script, do your video, like record it into Riverside. Riverside actually has all the captions already pre-built into it so that you don't have to worry about that technical part, because captions in Adobe Premiere are kind of a pain. So like in general, like I think that just record something, be simple, do something, and then add more production value like later. Add more like B-roll and like video or audio and things like that. Like start simple, right? And then build. That's the way I look at it.
Podcasting and video series, they're kind of like they're not much different in terms of like because you can extract especially if you have a video podcast, you can always extract it and get those micro pieces of content. So you're kind of doing something similar in that series situation. So start off like that, like think of it, treat it like a podcast, treat it like a conversation, and like if you want to have a script or a bullet point, I agree with that structure that you mentioned because it's just so much easier that way to like then after you had that whole talk with yourself or those series of talks with yourself, you get the content afterwards. And places like Riverside, they have the magic clips option. So like you could hit that magic clips, it gives you some suggestions. I'm not sure how much you can refine or tweak them. I don't know if they've like that's why I'm not like relying on it. I just rely on it to like get the ideas, like because it's pretty accurate. Like it gives you some good suggestions of like the best parts to use. That and there's other one called Opus Clips. So what I do is I'd like upload the video that I want to get short form content from, and then I would get suggestions from Opus Clips. And if it's a case where I work in Riverside and I want to get some clip suggestions instead of like me going through and manually trying to find the shorts, I would just click the magic clips button in Riverside. I get the ideas, then I go to my editing software. I use Premiere Pro too. I'll go there and then I'd like search the keyword in the transcription part and then like put exactly where Riverside or Opus mentioned and then like edit from there.
I've been using magic clips as well. It's interesting like how it could just use AI to kind of pick out, I guess it uses the script of the video and it looks at like where there's pauses, where there's probably groups of like audio, and it somehow analyzes it and figures out exactly like where the best clips are. I think the people that are scared of AI and that say that it's not here and like things like that, like AI is definitely here. And like if you're not using it, you definitely should be using it in your workflows, because as a creator, AI has helped me significantly with like ChatGPT and all those other things to just help me write faster, help me idea generate ideas faster, and then even the workflows for getting stuff done on, like you said, like the video clips. That's also just saves a ton of time. So like, I don't know. I think it's great to constantly kind of explore new tools. There's another thing too that I recently used on ChatGPT called BoxScript, and it's basically a ChatGPT plugin. You could take like a video like on YouTube, let's just say that has like 1 million views, and you could have it analyze the script, give you the main bullets of it. Then what you do is you open up a Notion document and create some sort of 3 different ideas based upon the idea that you created. And then you could use that as a launching point to be like, all right, I knew that these topics were successful. So if I make something completely new on my own, then I can come up with brand new ideas. But again, like if you're not using AI in your workflows, you're definitely behind.
I remember when I was manually cutting between shots for like podcasts or series episodes, and that was just a pain. And then Autopod came out for Premiere Pro, changed the game. So it just, you would like select who's the speaker, what tracks are they on, and it would do the switching. And all I need to do when I go in to edit is like add lower thirds, which is like the person's name, add any kind of like transitions, any kind of like motion graphics, and that just saved me literally hours of time because it would take me, if a video is like 30 minutes long, it would take me maybe an hour or an hour and a half, maybe even two, because it depends on the length of the video. And like I'm going back and forth and shifting things around and cutting angles, and maybe I cut too soon. So like AI just like got rid of so much of that manual work that I was spending too much time doing, and it just did that, and it makes the creative process just so much easier and like more effortless and just more enticing to do. Because after you use up all that energy doing a lot of the manual stuff, yeah, you feel nice, you feel pro when you're done, but like your brain is tired. So if you can like help ease that off of your brain a little bit, I don't see why not. I love AI. I love what it's been doing for a lot of us.
What's a few tips that you would leave for people that are on the fence, that they're like considering going on video, but they're still not completely sold? Like, what do you say to them?
It just helps to set yourself up. Video content is like future proofing. If you even post yourself like going on walks and just sharing your opinions or something, you never know who would see you and what opportunities can come from that. So that's just if you're just being unintentional about it. If you are intentional about it, whatever goal that you have for yourself, any kind of revenue thing that you want to hit, or any kind of like big milestone that you'd want your business to achieve or you want yourself to achieve, video content gets you there. Because if you go on camera and speak about that, or you speak about your expertise or whatever it is that you want to add value to the people that you want to work with, and somebody sees that and watches that, and then they work with you, it sets you up like you're future proofing yourself. So that's how I see it. So last year when I decided to go all in and create a service and start a business, the Spotlight Service, it wasn't called the Spotlight Service at first. So that even that, like I learned a lot just by putting myself on videos and hopping on calls with people, because it doesn't stop there and like just creating videos. When you hop on a call with somebody too, they would have seen so many of your videos from before that they feel like they already know you, and it just like makes it easier for you because you've had that practice on the camera expressing yourself, plus now you're gonna talk to people, so it's like it just becomes this muscle that's just nice to make sure that you work on. So that's just how I see it. It's like it just really can change your life, because we've seen it do that for a lot of people, especially a lot of these big creators. They weren't the same. When you watch a lot of those old videos, you could see how shy and reserved and kind of like sometimes even scared they were to be there, to be perceived. And look at them now. So if your goal is to be that big one, that's great. If it's not, it just helps to be on camera.
Yeah, usually the first videos of most creators are pretty terrible, to be honest. Like, but
Yeah,
at the same time, like we all start from like the same place. And I think that
yeah.
like if you start sucking like right away and like not caring that you suck, like that's like the best place to be. Where do people reach out if they want to learn more about you, Jada? What's your website? Like where do people find you, and like what do you do in case anyone wants to work with you?
My name on LinkedIn is Jada Biggs, and if we're already connected or not connected, just shoot me a DM, say hi. I am the founder of a Spotlight service, so I create video series for growth leaders and creator entrepreneurs that want to use video content to increase revenue. So the website is spotlightservice.co, so spotlightservice.co, and yeah, that's where you find me.
Appreciate your time, Jada.
All right, this was fun, Jerry.
It was fun.